Hello everyone. I welcome you all to webinar series part 3 workshop on profile building organized by Bridget. Bridget is a platform where we bridge the gap between the candidates who are trying to find a job of their interest but lack certain skill and the recruiters who are looking for skilled candidates. The idea is to train candidates, upskill them and make them job ready. For more information on Bridget, please visit our website. Link to the same is given in the description below. Over to you, Daria.
So, hi everyone, and thank you for showing up on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. So, without any further ado, firstly, before getting into the technicality of the session or running you through the flow, I really want to know from the 40 of you who are here that what according to you is profile building. Just take out a second and type whatever comes to your mind when you listen to the word profile building in the chat box. Anything, it can be a word, it could be a sentence, and it does not necessarily need to be very technical or the correct definition. I just want to know what you think about profile building. So if you could just do that, please. Shivani says it's personal branding. Okay. Vidushi says resume. What do the other people think of profile building as? Do you think it's a combination of a couple of things or is it just one thing? So yeah, I mean, what you have kind of said is on the right track. So I see people think personal branding plus having an awesome CV. Building a profile is just same as making professional image. Okay, Ranjan says that. Showing your skills and knowledge. Right. So you pretty much are on the right track. What profile building is, if it includes just a second, so that the echo is not there, I'll exit the meeting from the desk. Yeah. So profile building is a combination of various aspects and it starts right from the part wherein you actually identify your strengths or your unique selling points. So the moment you have understood what are you good at or what is the skill set that you want to develop on, that's where your journey towards building a profile actually begins. And from there on, the kind of certifications you take up or the kind of initiatives that you become a part of, it could be attending webinars like you're attending today, it could be taking up certifications, or it could be anything else wherein you're upskilling yourself. That will all add to your profile building. Because until and unless you don't have solid proof or something to show up on your profile, you cannot build a profile. So resume building is actually like the third step on this journey. And only once you've decided what's the niche that you want to actually work on, do you move on building your resume. And then via your resume, you build your profile on various platforms, depending on if you're a technical person, a management person, or doing CA or whatever it is, because it will be different depending on your profession. So a person who's a coder or who is into development will have to build their profiles on platforms such as HackerRank, such as CodeChef, or GitHub. You put your repositories and your projects there. That's your portfolio. Or you make your own website with all the work that you've done. That's your profile building process. After you have discovered that you're good at this. Similarly, if you're a management person, all the certifications that you do, or you've done a course with a particular, renowned institution, all of that will go into your profile building. So that was just to give you a brief context. So I would like to start with, running you through my own resume and on how once you've decided what are the skills that you want to actually, work on, or what is your niche that you're going to target, and you've identified your unique selling point, how do you go about building your resume catering to different streams? So, Saurabh, if you could just present the screen and display my resume.
Sure. I hope it's visible to the most of you.
Yeah, I can see it. So, yeah, I guess so. The first and the foremost thing, when you're starting with building your resume, is people have a doubt that how to go about building the resume in the first place, in the sense, what kind of templates should you use, what should be the format and stuff like that. So let me just tell you that irrespective of, if you're doing your engineering, you're an undergraduate student, you're in college, or you're a working professional. To be very honest, the template does not really matter. It has to be decent enough and it has to be neat. Obviously, if you're in a very creative field, let's say you're in the designing field, you're a graphic designer, or you're a UI UX designer, something like that. Those fields are far more creative, right? So there you can add on some amount of funk into your or colors into your resume by using Canva and other tools. But for a general professional resume, when you're applying for job or placements, try and use templates. There are various sources on the net. I'll just give you references to two online platforms that you can use. One is called Latex Overview, which is very good if you want everything in a very concise and precise manner. You also have Flow CV, which you can use. So I personally did not use any of these two because I didn't really know them back then. And I preferred using a handmade template. So this is a template which one of my seniors passed on to me. So he built it for himself. So similarly, even on Word and PowerPoint, you can build your own customized resume template. And that way it kind of adds a uniqueness and touch because, there are thousands of people are downloading templates out there and it tends to clash. So I prefer building your own template. So once you've got a template in place and you know what you have to do, the first thing has to be your professional summary, or it's also called your personal objective. Recruiter is trying to shortlist you for a particular job role. Let's say you're applying for a business analyst role, and he opens your CV. The first line that he's going to see, and within the first 10 seconds, he's going to decide, am I going to move further and look into what this girl or that guy has done. For that, you need to have your professional summary very crisp, very short, and including all the points with respect to highlighting what you're good at, why are you a good fit for the role, and how will you contribute to the organization. So these 3 points need to be highlighted in your professional summary, directly or indirectly. That's up to you how you put it and frame it. Keep it very short, not more than 3 to 4 sentences, because depending on what you've written there, will the recruiter move on to the further section of your resume. So let's say you are a coder, a programmer. It's important for you to include sentences or words such as programming, a coding enthusiast, someone who loves learning new programming languages, or you're someone who's agile with working on different platforms and stuff like that. So these keywords need to be there in a professional summary. If you're someone who's into the management field, who is into operations, business analysis, whatever, you need to have analytics, you need to have logical thinking, problem solving skills. These words need to be there. If you're applying as a consultant, your skills as a management consultant, what have you done that sets you apart, stuff like that. So I think you can see that in my professional summary. I was mostly applying for management consulting roles. So it was important for me. I set the tone in the first line itself by saying that I'm a management consultant, having done so and so, whatever. That's how you carry it forward, right? So that's the basic idea of it. The next thing is very important that many people, I see that they include their education or maybe their skills or something right after the professional summary or it's their first section. So that's kind of not right because once you set the tone as to who you are in a small summary, the first thing any recruiter wants to see is your experience or your job roles. To be very honest, they don't care about your 10th, 12th, and your undergraduation degree marks. It's just for the sake of qualification. It's not the actual parameter on which they judge you. They want to see how did you apply those skills which you've learned throughout your period of 18 or 20 years and how have you actually applied it in the real world. So they want to see your experiences. So make sure any kind of internship, any kind of industrial trainings that you go through in some of the colleges, or any virtual experience also that you've had, which can be counted as a experience and it aligns with the job role that you're applying for, is mentioned there. Now, if you could just scroll down, sort of, in your experiences also, make sure, like, if you can see, I've included about four of them. It may be possible that you don't have four, or it may be possible that you have more than four. Now, I had 20, but you cannot possibly put 20 internships in your experience. Your resume has to be a short, crisp, one-page document. So back in first year, I used to have a 7-page CV, which is a big no. No one is going to have the time to go through a 7-page long summary about you. Recruiters don't have the time, and they don't have the time to spend on one candidate that way, right? So make sure it's very crisp. You need to choose and filter out those two to three, or even if you have one internship, it has to be significant enough and aligning with your role. Quantity does not matter, quality matters in a resume and in profile building, right? So even if I have 20, I cannot list down all 20 here and make it like a long script. I chose the four internships which I thought will align in general and show me as a diverse personality. So I included my roles as a business development analyst. I've included sales and marketing. In one, I was doing business development and content writing. So it included both the aspects, right? So it brought down the need of including one internship, and that's why I made sure I included those internships. And my recent internship with KPMG as a management consultant. So make sure your most recent experiences on the top and then the following, obviously, and give a 2 to 3 line explanation as to what you have done in each internship. So when let's say you have done role with a particular, let's say even an NGO, wherein you were acting as a marketing and sales intern, it's very important for you to write down that as a part of this initiative with this so and so firm, I brought in maybe a sales of this much amount of money, or I was handling a team of 40 people. I did this, I implemented this. So these are action verbs. So it gives the recruiter a sense of trust and credibility that the person, so especially when you bring in numbers, like I've included in one of my internships in Climber, that I brought in a business of between 40 to 50K in a period of 2 months. So it numbers psychologically, human beings are attracted to numbers and it builds a trust. So if there are any numbers that you can play out, if you have coordinated a team, you have organized an event, or managed a big event of about 200 people, even in your school, you have to put it out there. So another thing I would like to highlight is if anyone from who are currently in their college or in their school and they don't have major experiences or internships to put on their profile, I get asked this question that what do we do if we don't have internships to put in? So my simple answer is even if you have organized a very small event in your school or in your university, if you've been a part of clubs and chapters in your school and you've done anything there, right? If you were having a managerial role, you were a part of a committee, you were involved in teamwork and, basically heading over an event or doing something, that is in itself an experience. You were working with people from diverse backgrounds, you were leading a team, you were working with a team on a project, so there was a lot that you got to learn. These are experiences. It only matters how you put it up on your CV. So don't shy away or don't think that if you don't have internship experiences, you won't be shortlisted for a particular role or that your profile won't stand out. You have to do other things. If not internships, do certifications, do something that just makes you stand apart from the crowd and put it up there on your experience. So coming on to the next section, generally I would tell people to go with your education right after your experience. Saurabh, if you could just scroll down. Yeah. So once you've put in a professional summary, then you have validated it with your various experiences, saying that I possess so and so skills. Then give them a background as to where do you come from, how have you done academically in your 10th, 12th, and your graduation, or if you're a postgraduate, your post graduation. Then after your education, move on to your projects and any kind of projects that you've worked on. Saurabh, could you just scroll down? Yeah. So any kind of projects and research work. If you're applying for a technical role, make sure that you have more number of technical projects which set you apart. Any kind of new technologies that you have worked on, big data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, whatever it is, make sure that it's there. Again, include a 2 to 3 line description as to how you implemented the project and what was the aim behind building that project or what problem did it solve. If you're applying for a management role, you see that the first project that I've highlighted is an analysis work or a research work that I did. Luckily, in my university, I had an option to take up university electives as management subject. So I had one of the research work that I had done. So basically, aligning to whatever role you are, going for, make sure the best project in that field is highlighted as the first project or research work. If you have research papers or publications in your name, any patents that you have in your name, make sure you include them in your project research work or patent section. it really makes your profile stand out from others. So yeah, that's about your basic project section. So this is a one page which I've divided into, like a left and right section. So this is all about the first section. When you move towards the right side, the topmost section, Saurabh, if you could scroll up. So the first, yeah. So my profile, personal info. Now in your personal information or your contact information, um, I really feel that it's not really necessary to include your phone number. That's what I realized sometime later. Maybe if you're into the professional field and having a work experience after that, you can include it as a fresher. To be very honest, email looks more professional. With your address as to just the city that you're staying in, you don't need to mention your entire address. I see a lot of people doing that. It's not needed. It takes up a lot of space and distracts the person, is what I feel. Just mention your city and given like your email, and that's enough. If you have any LinkedIn profile, if you have a GitHub repository, you have your own blog, you have your own YouTube channel, anything that sets you apart, something different, or you want to put the link to your, you know, HackerRank profile, anything of that. Or you have your own website. Make sure that you include it here in your personal information section. So
I hope this small session gave you some insight on how to build your profile and create impactful resume. Please subscribe to our channel, follow us on LinkedIn for more such informative sessions and resources. Part 2 of this session will be uploaded soon where Dhairya will take up how to build your LinkedIn profile. And with this, I'm signing off. Thanks for joining.